Clinton then came over and got him released. She had nothing to do with it. And whether funds were exchanged with Clinton, that's anybody's guess. In all likelihood, something was passed on to North Korea. You can almost count on it. That's how Bill Clinton operates, with John Podesta as bagman. So, now that we've cleared that issue up for everyone, but if you notice, the media is trying to cover up for it. They're not showing this film, but they're acting pathological too much, are they?
No, they aren't.
No.
They aren't, Tom. It's just this continued game with the media and keeping the American people entertained with anything but the truth about their government. At a time, the most critical time, I believe, in the history of our country, this media needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with severely when revolution occurs, folks, because there will be an uprising and there will be a revolution the way we're going. So don't forget the media when you get your government officials and say, put them in handcuffs. Don't forget the media also, because they all need to be tried for their crimes.
I just want to repeat to everyone again, this health care thing is a disguise. It's a diversion. We can't afford it, one. We don't have any money, two, which is, of course, we can't afford it, we don't have money. The banks are full of derivatives. Obama hasn't done a damn thing to get these derivatives out of these banks, because if he does, they go to bankruptcy court, and the back end of the derivatives are offshore in the proceeds from the derivatives, which is cash tied to the Bush-Clinton crime family syndicate. Robert Rubin, Hank Paulson, Timothy Geithner. I mean, on and on it's going to go, Bush and Clinton. There's billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, parked in these offshore accounts, which are the back end of the derivatives. That's what's going on here, folks. You are being made, you, the American citizen, into the Ponzi, the patsy. And they're going to want you to pay higher taxes for the rest of your life in order to finance and continue to allow these banks to operate like whorehouses, a.k.a. crooked casinos. Now, again, Obama can only get away with this because the media lets him get away with it. Because the media are corporate entities owned by the banks, owned by Goldman Sachs. People got to realize, again, that Goldman Sachs is a brokerage house, but it was made into a bank. They are a socialized casino. If they lose money, they get the money back. That'd be like you or I buy a stock, Stu. If we made ourselves into a socialized bank, we could then say, oh, hey, that stock went down. We want a refund, right?
Yeah.
This is obscene, absurd. We have never seen anything like this in the history of this republic. And to think this was all caused by the enablers in the intelligence agencies, in the Congress, and in the media. And these enablers continue to enable and cover up because they're being paid big money based on this Ponzi scheme that continues to operate. Now, clearly, when the Ponzi scheme collapses again, which it will, they ain't going to have any networks left. That'll be the end of everything. At that point, the American people have to take up arms. They have to have the food ready to defend their property, because this is going to be an ugly period. They have brought us to this period, Stu, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It's been a build-up, Tom, for years now. I mean, realistically, if you look at it, it all started heavily. Of course, assassination of Kennedy, and then it moved forward, and the coup d'etat and Jimmy Carter. But yeah, I saw the wealth change from 1981, where 1% controlled 20% of the economy, and now they're in control of 90+% of the economy, the same 1%. But that was in 1981, and what they dubbed Iran-Contra. From that point on, it has been nothing but a downhill slide for the American people and the American government. And it's just, they've taken out the checks and balances. In that crime bill in 1988, got rid of the racketeering offices, made it a free flow for them to do business as usual in the crime syndicate and do anything they want, use our government and as a crime syndicate. It's become the mafia. It's not a government any longer. It's the mafia. Am I right or wrong, Tom?
You're correct, and of course, you talk about the coup d'etats. I think JFK obviously was the classic coup d'etat. There's the President of the United States being assassinated in an open car. by a British intelligence team, Preemdex, which was the team that was trying to shoot de Gaulle unsuccessfully, was then brought into the United States through Montreal, parked in Delay Plaza with Hunt and Sturgis and the walkie-talkie guys operating as basically the communications end, giving them the word to start the shooting. So basically, you had basically outsourcing of the assassination, and it was based on one simple reason: the Federal Reserve Bank. Kennedy had signed Executive Order 11,110, which still is on the books, by the way, which would have allowed the U.S. Treasury, not the conspiratorial criminal Federal Reserve, the AKA the creature from Jekyll Island, to control our U.S. currency. Kennedy had already lowered taxes. He was operating as a actually conservative Democrat. And he was going to basically give the American people the right to bypass the Federal Reserve, borrow money for 1 or 2% less than what it would normally cost with that stupid Federal Reserve sitting there in the middle. They didn't like that, did they, Stu?
No, they didn't. They had to get rid of it.
They had to get rid of it. Then we had Watergate with Nixon. Nixon was blackmailing people too much. He too was running into the British intelligence network in the U.S., causing them trouble. And once again, the British, with their Mossad enablers, basically, to a large extent, in retrospect, framed Nixon using the same Watergate burglars that were used to coordinate the assassination of JFK. And the Washington Post, of course, is a known British Zionist outpost. Woodward and Bernstein, Washington Post. Who was Nixon's best friend at the time? The people he was working directly with? The French and Charles de Gaulle. That should tell you everything. We may point this out to you folks because we want to continue to make it clear that the British monarchy and its tentacles here in the United States still remain the oldest enemy of this country and the current enemy of this country. This queen, this pope, they're worthless crap, aren't they, Stu?
Yeah, that's what they are, crap. They need to be arrested right here in the United States for feeding us that false dossier to send our kids to war here in Iraq.
Now, the third coup d'etat took place with Jimmy Carter. Carter was getting too close to the JFK assassination. So what do the Zionists turn around and do? They put up Ted Kennedy, who, by the way, does not get along with Caroline Kennedy, and ran him against Jimmy Carter. After Carter defeated him in the primary, they then turned around and ran their October surprise, which allowed the hostages to remain in Iran until after the election of the Reagan-Bush ticket.
I might add to that for a moment. For those of you listening to what he just said about that, I believe that October surprise, because I'm quite aware of the pilots, Gunther Russbacher, Dick Brennecke, Harry Rupp, others that were aboard, any of the people. I know them personally and have known them. You might want to get the book defraudingamerica.com, defraudingamerica.com. It's probably the most well-documented about October surprise. Go ahead, Don.
And I just want to inform you, just recently, a guy named Naseb Nassib, and I don't have his last name available to me, but he's a friend of how do you say that guy's name, the president of Iran?
I can't even pronounce his name, Don.
Well, he was one of the hostage takers. People don't realize that. John, or whatever his name is. They were bagmen that were photographed by French intelligence in Paris, transferring funds to Daddy Bush then giving them funds that were in exchange to keep the hostages in Iran until after the 1980 election. Just recently, vis-a-vis the Saudi and Iranian government, further blackmail was directed against the Bush family concerning this event. $18.5 billion authorized through the Federal Reserve was sent from Saudi Arabia through Iran onto Turkey, where, according to my sources, representatives of the Iranian government were